Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and thank you for joining us on YouTube or Spotify. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, congratulations! We fixed it!
Yeah, I apologize. It's, here's the thing. When you try to move your podcast to a different host, shit happens. And unfortunately, I made the mistake of moving it to Patreon a little too early without understanding how all the different platforms kind of work together. Apple Podcast doesn't love Patreon. So you can still use like our private RSS feed on Patreon and put it in your Apple Podcast. However, there's no public feed for Apple Podcast with Patreon yet. The customer service person told me that they're working on it. I'm like, okay, well, you could have told me that before I switched hosts. So I moved it back to Spotify. So it definitely works on Spotify. And if you are listening on Spotify and you have a Spotify premium membership, you can listen to our Patreon episodes directly on Spotify already. They are already on there. And if you don't want to do it on Patreon for some reason, you can listen to it directly on Spotify and you can stay on Spotify if that's your preferred host. If not, and you want to join our Patreon, please go to patreon.com/goldsquadrongays and sign up for our $3 membership where you get extended episodes and visual episodes so you can see our lovely faces. As for that was a really good little, I should probably record that at some point. That was really good.
That was great. Great job.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll record something for like the end of, how we record our socials. Maybe I'll bump in a little recording of me being like,
saying,
yeah, I'll do the Patreon.
Follow us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes, so if you, I understand that it's extremely frustrating to not have it on Apple Podcasts. I am an Apple Podcast listener. I listen all of mine on Apple Podcasts. That's my podcatcher, so I know it's very, very frustrating. I know several people have reached out to me. Like Bradley said, he is working to try to get it fixed. He is going back and forth with Apple customer service to try to figure it out. We're working on it. But for now, Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, those are the three best ways to keep up on the show.
So before we get started, I had to bring this up for a mini segment before we do our actual show.
Okay.
Because
let's go.
During our hiatus, we took a week off because I was on a cast trip and
I was losing my mind. I will do a recap one of these days. I will do an episode of a podcast somewhere, maybe not this one, and I will talk about exactly how much paperwork goes into doing a convention and how many emails you actually have to send, even if you have a very narrowly specific job. And it was making me crazy. I needed a week off to deal with stuff.
All right. So over that last week, the Emmys were announced, or the noms were announced for the Emmys.
Yeah. Yes, the bullshit Emmy noms that I will not be acknowledging in any way.
Oh, you don't want to talk about them? Okay.
Well, Bradley, what was Andor nominated for?
Well, let's talk about what they were actually nominated for.
Yes.
Maybe we'll see maybe we won't talk about the snubs as much, but it was nominated for Outstanding Drama Series, which makes sense. Yes, correct. That's correct. So I have that one for sure. And I'm going down the list just to make sure I didn't miss any of the ones because I know they had a couple. Where's Andor again? Wow, it's really far down the list. This is how you know it was snubbed. Oh, okay, here we go. Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series, Forrest Whitaker. Outstanding Director for a Drama Series, Janice Metz, Who Are You? Which was
that one absolutely well deserved.
And then Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series, Dan Gilroy for Welcome to the Rebellion. So there you go. Those are the four noms. Shocked and awed that there is no.
This is bullshit. That
Best Actress, Best
Diego
Guest
Luna,
Actress,
Andrea Arjona, and Genevieve O'Reilly all snubbed. Complete bullshit. I'm even gonna throw Kyle Soller in there.
Yeah,
best supporting actor.
Fuck? Like it.
That is insane.
I love that Drama Series got the nom because that is a very important category, obviously. But and it's going up against, White Lotus and The Last of Us and stuff like that. So it is a big deal, right? And Severance, actually. So there's some good competition for Drama Series this year.
Fuck the Emmys. This was a snub.
It was a huge snub.
Huge snub. I am not happy about it, and we will proceed from there. I will not be watching. So Not interested. Hope it wins. The 4 that it was nominated for, it absolutely deserves.
Right. I'll be paying attention to those
I'll be
4
paying attention
categories.
to those 4. Otherwise, fuck the Emmys. I don't care. Speaking of the Emmys, our friend Hope over at J Guys and Jedi and for Light and Dice, hi Hope, did reach out to me after a previous episode. I don't want to say the last episode. It might have been the episode before that. She did reach out to me and let me know, just very minorly, that we had talked about whether or not Star Wars had won awards for costume. And we really only went through the Academy Awards and the movie. And Hope did point out that Star Wars did win an Emmy for costumes for Ahsoka and for the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, okay, nice.
And that the costume designer for that, who I apologize, I'm going to butcher the last name, Shauna Tripkick, did pass away before receiving the Emmy for Ahsoka. So several Star Wars shows, all by the same costume designer, have won Emmys.
Okay, nice.
For costume design. So thank you, Hope, for letting us know that also has happened. All right, now we can talk about the episode I literally watched 2 hours ago to prep for this.
Love that. This week we're talking about Andor Season 2, Episode 11, Who Else Knows? Cassian returns to Coruscant for one last extraction. Charles, what's one thing you liked about the episode and one thing you did not?
One thing I liked about the episode is that the tension is insane. Just the last 15 minutes or so of the episode is insanely tense. It's really a great showcase of just the level of thriller and heightened emotion that you get from watching the show. So I really liked the vibe a lot. One thing I didn't like, the episode feels very sandwiched between the last episode and the next episode. It sort of abruptly starts and then it just sort of abruptly ends. And everything between the starting and the ending is really good, but it does just kind of like move us from the first chapter to the third chapter. This is also kind of why I disagree with stuff you were saying last week about like the episodes don't really tie, like 9 and 10 don't really tie into each other, because the first half of this one is just the final third of last week. And the final half of this one is just the first third of next week. This really could have been 2 episodes. The episode really could have ended with Kleya broadcasting, and we could have picked it up from there. But we also would have lost the emotional impact of Luthen dying, fading to black. So what about you, Bradley? One thing you liked and one thing you did not.
You kind of stole my didn't like thing. I felt like...
Of course I did.
Yeah, this was not my favorite episode. I just thought it was just odd, like, placement and things. I think it's because I view 10, 11, 12 is kind of a movie. I kind of feel like in my brain, like I don't know. I just feel like it's like a finale. Like it's just the whole thing is one big episode. I don't really think of it as 3 separate episodes. I do think of it as like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. You know, it's kind of more like that. Although I just don't think Act 2 is as strong. I feel like Act 1 is like, whoa, holy shit, this was such a great character piece. And then this part is kind of okay, I guess, because like it builds up to like the real action and drama and stuff, which is next week's finale. I mean, so it's really like it's really hard because also it has such like literally the one thing I liked about the episode was the fucking Krennic scene is so good. And that's all I can say. It's just because when we get to it, we'll get to it. But it is so good that it makes this episode better. Like, if you didn't have that Krennic scene in here, I wouldn't like this episode at all. I wouldn't even watch it again. It would, because it's just a moving episode. But, like, that scene alone, for me, justifies the entirety of this episode because it's that good. Section 1. At the Linaso Hospital on Coruscant, Supervisor Heert inspects the aftermath of the hospital attack and decides to place the blame for the security failure on Dedra. Meanwhile, Director Krennic confronts Dedra about unauthorized knowledge of the Death Star project. He is suspicious of her and demands to know who else might be aware, implying that she could be a spy or complicit in the breach. Under intense pressure, she insists she gathered classified materials only to track down Axis and not to betray the Empire. Despite her insistence that she found Axis and could help interrogate Luthen, Krennic dismisses her, physically intimidating her and ultimately stating she is no longer needed. He exits, leaving her isolated.
So right off the bat, I love that Heert is throwing Dedra under the bus.
Immediately.
Every time something comes up, he's like, make sure we know that this is her fault. This is not
Yep.
my fault. He is
I didn't do
super
anything.
covering his ass.
Yep. It was
And
all
then
her.
then we get one of the greatest memes that this show spawned, which is they think it's a team of 3 people because of how insane the infiltration was. They were like, it's got to be 3 people.
Right.
So I've been seeing things like the most powerful Star Wars trio, and it's just a photo of Kleya.
Right. Exactly. I love her.
I love the internet.
Unmatched.
So Heert is approached by the hospital director because
Right.
Heert has apparently ordered all the doors to be closed. And when the hospital director is like, dude, what the fuck? Heert is like, I will arrest you and throw you in jail, which is terrifying on its own. But stop and think for a minute about the implications of what closing hospital doors actually mean. He hasn't closed down the ward, he's closed down the whole building.
The entire building, right?
Because he's closed down the entire building, it cannot receive new patients. Emergencies or trauma cases now have to be routed to a different, further away hospital. There cannot be transfers out of the hospital. You can't move anybody who needs specialized equipment or needs to be out of this hospital somewhere else. You can't discharge anyone. If there were any like family or anything in the building, they have nowhere to go. They can't leave. Like, there's actual danger to a lot of people closing this hospital. This dude is correct to be like, what the fuck? Because this is such a big deal that Heert has had to shut the whole building down and is now almost definitely going to get people killed.
Yeah, just by sheerly being like, oh yeah, the hospital's closed. Like, inadvertently, you're gonna have someone's gonna die. Just inadvertently. Like, it's just gonna happen.
And you know that he did it without a second thought and
Well,
is now
because
just dug his heels.
well, because he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
Right.
He is
He's
hyper
conducting
focused on dealing with the security breach.
Exactly. That's more important right now.
Speaking of the security breach, okay, so let's talk about the Krennic scene. I love that Krennic is so menacing here, but then if you turn around and watch Rogue One, he's just being shat on by everybody above him.
Oh, it's amazing.
This is the only time we've ever seen him from the point of view of somebody who is beneath him on the chain of command. Did you also notice that most of his shots are either level onto him or framing him from below?
I was gonna say the framing of this scene is so good. Like, especially when it starts, because obviously we're on Dedra's level in the start of the scene, and you only see like his mouth. Like, you don't see, like, you see below his mouth, you don't see his eyes or anything like that at first. And it's so good because it's just like he's that imposing that he's just like so much above her. Like, God.
And the
Chef's kiss.
blocking, how they move, both how they move the camera and how they move the actors in the scene. Like what lines Ben Mendelsohn gets down, what lines he like is up above and cut off.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible what they did with this scene. He is the scariest he will ever be. Additionally, if you're watching this scene, like if you're watching all of Star Wars in chronological order, this will be the first time you ever hear the words Death Star mentioned.
Oh.
You will have seen it twice.
Right.
You've seen it in 3 times. Sorry.
Yes.
You will have seen it in Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and in Andor Season 1 in the Stinger. Right. But you will not have heard the words Death Star. So if you, for example, like Andy from First Steps to Star Wars podcast, have been watching Star Wars in chronological order, this is where you learned the name Death Star.
That's crazy.
And do you know how Dedra learned the name Death Star, Bradley? This is the greatest plot contrivance of all time. Like, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened entirely by accident in a piece of media. When I say plot contrivance, I mean like, that's probably a misuse of the phrase. A plot detail that happened in a piece of media.
Okay.
And then suddenly got really relevant because they filmed this before the current administration and it came out after. Did you see how she found out about the Death Star? Do you remember, or am I just going to tell you?
You're just going to have to tell me.
She got accidentally forwarded Legrette's email.
Oh, that's okay.
She literally
she said that she got stuff. Okay, that's right.
She literally got added to the group chat that she shouldn't have been in.
I see what you're saying.
And she literally got misforwarded emails. That's how the Death Star leaks. Dedra Miro got CC'd on an email she wasn't supposed to be on and didn't delete it.
And why would you?
Incredible.
I mean,
incredible stuff.
What does she
Not
say?
to get super political, but
Right.
like
The
the
parallels are interesting.
Signal Gate happened a couple of weeks, I think, before this episode came out. So that
Iconic that they did
happened.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's iconic that it then happened in the show.
Right.
Because, like, not to keep bringing things back to Legends, but I am doing Legacy Expo in September. The Rebels find out about the Death Star in Legends when Palpatine, like a dumbass, literally takes four of the leaders of the
Right.
rebellion there. Here it gets found out because of a misforwarded email.
But that's so real.
That is much more real. That is how real it is. And like we'll talk about it next week, like going from watching this to Rogue One, you can see how it got from the misforwarded email to Lonnie, to Luthen, to Kleya, to the people on Yavin, but even the people on Yavin don't quite believe it. It's wild, the chain of breakdown from
Yes.
one misforwarded email to the destruction of the Death Star. So fun fact about the finger point, the little
Okay.
bit where he puts the finger on top of her head.
Sure.
According to Denise Go, who plays Dedra Miro, that was improvised. And her shocked reaction to it happening was her actual genuine reaction
I love that.
to him putting his finger on the top of her head.
It's just so camp. Like it's just so like he's just hamming it up and it's so good.
He gets one good scene this episode. The other one, he's still hamming it up, but this is like the
Sure.
really good scene.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He gets one good scene this episode and just was gonna ham up every single minute of
I mean,
this.
that's just who Krennic is.
It is. It truly who he is. He is a giant ham.
Yeah.
The man wears a cape. He
He's
is
a
the
showman.
only Imperial
Yeah.
officer who wears a cape.
He's a showman. He
But he
likes to
wants a
show off.
special
Yeah.
cape, so he put on a cape. Well, no, he's not the only one. Ronan, his like little twink from the Thrawn novels, also wears the
Oh,
cape because he's trying to emulate Krennic. Krennic does also mention like they know that Lonnie told stuff to Luthen Rail, so hopefully Lonnie's family had bought some time to get out of there, but we never find out what
yeah.
happened to them.
Yeah, because I can only assume that it's like, okay, well, now that Krennic knows that Lonnie knows something, that it's like, okay, well, their family's fucked. Like it is what it is. Like it just
Hopefully they got out of Dodge really quickly, or the ISB is just not concerned with them. Maybe they let her go if like I'm trying to find a hope spot here. Maybe they let her go if they find out that she didn't know anything.
yeah, maybe there's some kind of like there was no communication between the I don't know. Like there's this
I have to imagine. Lonnie was very careful not to implicate them.
yeah, he
But then
probably
this is
doesn't
the
bring
Empire, so who fucking
work
knows?
home. I also yeah, I guess that because it's weird like working in the ISB and then having a family would be kind of an interesting like dynamic because then like how would you ever know if like that your employees are telling their family members anything or whatever, or their
Well,
significant
so
other.
both of my parents are doctors, but so I'm very familiar with like HIPAA.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was a thing in my childhood that like my dad couldn't really talk about his job.
Right.
Like he couldn't tell us a lot of things about his job because
Yeah, that makes sense.
he didn't want to violate patient privacy. We knew what he did, but he had to be very careful how he like told us things about his job. And my long-term boyfriend's the same way. Is he'll come home and complain about work, but he has to be very careful about what he says because he can't violate patient privacy. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up just how fucked up it is that Krennic is on such a power trip in this scene that he's like literally physically manhandling Dedra at points. Like he puts the finger on her head, which is funny and camp. But then he has a bit later where he like grabs the side of her face and twists her head to the side,
Right.
which is given that her whole thing has been about like not being respected and the power dynamics of the ISB, pretty fucked up that she's
Right.
just getting literally physically battered around by her boss in this interrogation. That's messed up. But then Krennic is supposed to be the villain.
Right.
I also, speaking of that power dynamic being such a part of her character, I love the final shot of this scene where she's sitting in the room and they're having a discussion and it's silent because now she's excluded. Now she's fully in the outgroup. She
Right.
has
She
been
can't do
kicked
anything.
out. She has fully been kicked out of the ISB, and that will come up in a later scene.
And what's really crazy about this, because I don't know the exact dialogue, but she says right before Krennic leaves, it's like, "Oh, I need to be the one to help you, interrogate Luthen and like do all this stuff because I know so much about Access." And he's literally going outside to find out that Luthen is dead.
That
It's
is
like,
also the point that he grabs her face,
yeah,
grabs her head
yeah,
when she starts pushing to like
right.
previously they've been arguing, but they've mostly been verbally arguing. Like he's been intimidating, he's been getting up in her face. Other than the finger, he has not touched her except for when she really starts to push like you need me. And he's like, let me get this straight. No, I don't.
No,
And also, literally, you were just a civilian. Like you were less than that. You were a prisoner.
right.
This scene is such an interesting exploration of the power dynamics. And it's also such a watershed moment for her because this is what it feels like to be interrogated by the ISB, Dedra. This
It's
is
not
what
so
you were
fun.
doing to Bix in season one.
It's not fun when you're on the other side.
It really isn't.
Section 2. Hurt questions a hospital technician who looks through the security footage. They spot someone disguised as a nurse but can't see her face as she avoids the cameras. At the safe house, Kleya breaks through a concrete wall and retrieves a hidden radio. She begins preparing it for use, and as Hurt looks through the footage, he observes Kleya's behavior and concludes she was acting alone, narrowing their search to a single infiltrator. Kleya begins to send a signal. And on Yavin 4, Wilman is confronted by Drina about a hidden radio which has started beeping. Meanwhile, Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO are relaxing, playing a familiar card game, when Wilman interrupts them with the radio.
I like that they explained it was not a plot hole necessarily. I detest the overuse of that term. But I will say I like that they explained a plot question from
Okay.
last episode. They do explain why there's no cameras in the stairs when she shoots that guy. She used a surgical entrance that surgeons don't like to have cameras.
Which would make
The
sense.
doctors don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I like that they did take the effort to explain that. I love the realization too. I feel like I've been saying I love a lot over the
Yeah, yeah,
course of
yeah.
these episodes, but there's so much that I love in
No,
them.
it's fair.
Kleya also is noticed by Hurt to be alone. At the same time, we see her alone in the apartment. She has not slept.
Right. She's a little
It is
frantic. Yeah.
now the next day, and she is basically putting out an emergency signal, hoping that someone out there still has the Luthen radio that can monitor the broadcast because the Alliance doesn't have it. She's not calling the Alliance because the Alliance and Luthen don't get along.
Right.
She's hoping someone has it. But right now, she has no confirmation. They will say in a later scene that they can't send a transmission back. I love the juxtaposition between Hurt saying she's alone and the shots of her being alone, literally sending out a signal into the whole galaxy, desperately hoping that someone is listening. This show's so fucking good.
If only they had gotten a few more Emmys. No, so whatever.
If only they'd gotten a few more Emmy noms. This block of episodes did not get an Emmy nom. Although
Yeah.
the ones that got director and writer Emmy noms absolutely deserved it. If I was gonna pick the best directed episode of the season, it would be 8. If I were to pick the best written, it would be 9.
Yeah.
Drina seems to know, even though that she doesn't really know what's going on. Once Wilman begins explaining it, they have a strong enough relationship. She seems to know this is serious. And even though she trusts him to say, I will explain this later, I need to go deal with it now.
Right.
And that was a sign to me that they still, even a year later, have a really healthy relationship.
Which is great. I love that.
Speaking of doing a lot with very limited screen time, establishing where relationships are at, cut to the bachelor pad. And this is really the only
night.
scene. The guys' night.
Yeah.
They woke up K2SO at the end of the last arc, and Melshi didn't show up until like the middle of episode 9. Like,
right.
I think randomly he was in there in episode 9.
Exactly. Briefly, yeah.
They both randomly show up, and they have one scene to establish that K2SO, Cassian, and Melshi are all friends. They do it really well. This is a really effective scene.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, because you combine a little bit of the comedy of K2SO, which is that dry humor, and then it's just like we already know in our brain because of Rogue One that they're all supposed to be like.
Well, Melshi and Cassian don't really interact in Rogue One.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
Melshi
I
and
mean,
Cassian being friends
K2SO.
was something that was established in the visual guide for
Right.
Rogue One. I think they might exchange a couple of words in Rogue One,
Hmm.
but I don't think so. Someone who's obsessed with Rogue One will tell me whether or not,
They're
but they
like,
barely interact.
actually.
Someone will, I'm actually me
Yeah, for
about
sure.
Rogue One stuff. There are multiple people I know offhand who are obsessed with that movie.
Yes. This is actually so one of the things I like. I think this does redeem the K2SO of it all because I'm really, I still like looking back on the season. I wish we would have gotten him in more than one arc. And I just feel like it's not, I know it's not a waste because I think he's used effectively. However, I just love K2SO so much. And fuck, it's like every time I see him on screen, I'm like, fuck, you could have had a whole entire arc with him before this. Like, why
I
didn't we do it?
love him. And it works. It leads into Rogue One so well too. The relationship between Cassian and K2 is that we see
Yes.
it over the course of the next two episodes really effectively, and so by the time we get into Rogue One, it really naturally continues all the way to the end. Make a note here: they are shooting back alcohol.
Okay.
Just make a note for it. Bring it up now. The game they are playing is called Rianza.
Okay.
I'm going to quote from the StarWars.com Week 4 trivia guide. Quote, the game of Rianza that we see Cassian Andor, Ruscott Melshi, and K2SO playing Cassian's home on Yavin was created by the Andor art/graphics department with tiles designed by graphic designer Ellie McKee, or L. McKee, who also crafted a full set of rules to play. Rianza was inspired by both ancient mahjong sets and domino, end quote.
Okay.
So once again, it has rules. You could play it.
Yes.
So rather like the rock, paper, scissors at the start of the season, or the card game from that one episode of the Bad Batch, there exist rules and you can play it.
I feel like it's a requirement now. They're just like, guys, we can't make up fake games unless we can sell a tiny thing at Galaxy's Edge. Like, we have to be able to sell it, guys.
I
Come
don't
on.
know if they are selling.
I don't know if they're selling this one. Maybe just because it's too soon. But they have what's it called? What's the
If they
main
have
game called?
Sabak,
They
I'm
have
pretty
Sabak,
sure.
right? I'm like, what is? I'm like, what's the name of the game? Sabak for sure. They definitely have
The
those.
Sabak they for sure have.
Yeah. Section 3. On Coruscant, Heert informs Partagaz and Krennic that Kleya was behind the hospital attack. Krennic orders a galaxy-wide manhunt, endorses a cover story that she escaped with a deadly infection, and gives Heert full authority to pursue her. In private, Partagaz presses Krennic about delays and secrecy surrounding the Death Star, and Krennic brushes him off, warning of the Emperor's coming anger, and leaves for Scarif, knowing the situation is rapidly spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, Wilman's radio receives a short encrypted transmission. Cassian and K2SO debate whether or not it's real or a trap, but the group identifies it as a distress signal. Despite warnings, Cassian decides to respond. To avoid detection, Cassian refuses to file a flight plan and claims the mission is a test run. He prepares the ship with K2SO and Melshi, and Draven notices the unauthorized launch, and Yavin ground control tries to recall the ship, but Cassian ignores the call and jumps to hyperspace.
Krennic telling Heert to put this out deep is just a very interesting moment.
Okay.
It doesn't mean anything in the context of the show, but on the meta level, squinting at that one. I am side-eyeing that one.
Why? Because it's a room full of homosexuals? Is that why you're...
Yeah, but yes, because it's a room full of old queens and
so
Heert,
everything
the
is
random twink who's there.
Right. Everything is an innuendo.
Everything is an innuendo in this scene,
Yeah.
just because everyone involved in it is gay. Well, I don't know if Partagast is, but
well, he does give old queen energy.
He does have old queen energy.
I have an explanation for this. Okay.
That may also be, now I will say that may also be Anton Lesser's acting generally, because Qyburn does kind of also give off old queen energy.
Okay, so here's my thing. This is where I feel like, so the interaction that Krennic and Partagaz have in this scene is so good, and the chemistry is there for other reasons. Like, I know that they've known each other a very long time and they've been through shit together because...
Oh, they fucked like 20 years ago.
No, this is... Okay, here's my thing. This is what the Imperial Academy show is the younger versions of all these people interacting and fucking. because that is where the drama is. These gays in the Imperial Academy would like that. I'm telling you, that show would be so good. This it just is like a little glimpse of that. And that's why this is my other favorite scene of the episode. It's literally the first one with Krennic and then now this second scene with Krennic. Yeah.
Partagaz also says, like, he's the one that comes up with the idea to say she's a disease. She's diseased.
She's diseased, right?
We need to catch her before she releases this disease and thousands of people get killed. Cast your mind back to season 1. Do you remember when he said that the ISB were healthcare providers? I think they knew that a scene like this was coming, but either way, it calls back really well to his speech about we are healthcare providers.
Well, it's twofold too, because I think one, it's the symbolism of like the disease of rebellion, right? Like that's obviously what he's
yes, I think
to.
That's sort of what's going on here.
Sure,
Kleya is the disease of rebellion. Yeah,
sure, that is very interesting. But also, I just love that on the actual literal side of it, he's so quick to come up with this excuse, like because obviously Krennic doesn't give a fucking shit what the excuse is. It's just like find this person and get her, right? Like you could say she's a terrorist, you could say she's the dangerous criminal, whatever. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't care. But Partagaz comes up with such a good thing where like general people would be like willing to actually help and put in tips and stuff like that. Like because like, oh shit, she's like diseased. Like there's something wrong here.
And
like,
also,
we need to help.
So I've mentioned a couple times I've been rereading a lot of the Legends books lately, and a lot of them were written between 2001 and 2050, with particularly a lot of them between 1999 and about 20. They use it's very Iraq War. They use the word terrorist in the way that terrorists would have been used in that sense. So you call someone a terrorist that has a certain connotation in media that was written in the 2000s.
Yes.
We are seeing the post 2020 of it all. Now the language is she's got a disease. That's what's expected to scare people.
Right.
Saying someone's a terrorist in 2001 would have scared the general public.
Right.
Saying someone is carrying a deadly disease in 2025 is going to scare the general public. So we're also seeing how, I think it's interesting for me, the more canon evolves over the past 10 years that they've been putting out canon material, the way that Legends reflected 1996 to 2015 so effectively, but we're also seeing how 2015 to 2025 is reflected so effectively in everything from that point on. So I just think it's really interesting to look at it from that angle. We find out Partagaz's first name. It is Leo Partagaz. I don't know how long they were sitting on that reveal, but
yeah,
we find it out.
Yeah,
we find it out because he's on first name basis with director Krennic.
Not only first name basis with Krennic, he does drop another name.
Yes, so he has this line where he tells Krennic when they're arguing, save the sermon for Palpatine, which again, amazing. They don't usually refer to Palpatine as Palpatine. They usually refer to him as the Emperor in official settings. Partagaz calls him Palpatine in a private conversation, and then gets this look on his face where he just realized he's going to have to tell Palpatine.
Yeah.
So everything he's going to do in the next episode-ish worth of content, remember, he has now in the forefront of his mind that when this is done, he has to go give a report to the Emperor.
Iconic.
And then Krennic has this moment on his way out the door where he like nods at him. Krennic knows that if Partagaz does not close this leak, he is definitely dead. And he's probably dead even if he closes the leak.
He kind of basically says goodbye. Like he's just, which technically this is the last time they'll ever see each other. This is
the last time they'll see each other. So Cassian and Melshi and K2, well, particularly Cassian and Melshi, have gotten this news from Wilman. And I just want to point out they have not stopped drinking.
They're still going.
They are still going. So I want now to put in the forefront of everyone's minds, Cassian and Melshi are at the very least tipsy.
Sure.
For the rest of this day. Everything they do on Coruscant, they are a little bit drunk.
A little bit drunk. I like that.
They do it. K2 is the best because K2 has a monologue in the silent. And also is just like, I hear the alcohol talking.
I just love that he has to be there though and endure it because he can't drink and he can't be drunk. So he has to deal with them. Yeah. This is really funny.
He's the only one thinking straight.
Exactly. Section 4. Heert visits Dedra in her cell to inform her that Luthen is dead, and Kleya is on the run. Their tense exchange reveals lingering distrust, with Dedra reminding Heert that failure will land him in a cell like hers. Heert asks Dedra for advice, admitting their current search is falling apart, and she suggests looking into old Axis files and monitoring outdated radio frequencies. Back on Yavin 4, Willman explains to Draven that Cassian responded to an emergency transmission, but Draven is enraged, fearing the Empire will discover the Yavin base. Meanwhile, Heert investigates Luthen's gallery and learns from the tech how Axis avoided Imperial detection for years. Cassian's ship exits hyperspace, and the ISB tech works to reactivate the radio at the gallery, and after some difficulty, the transmitter begins receiving signals, surprising Heert. Kleya and Cassian communicate through the radios, and Heert informs Partagaz and sends ISB forces to Kleya's safe house, while Cassian flies to her coordinates.
Speaking of Dedra being on the outgroup now, did you notice that in this scene she is missing her rank pin?
Oh, no, I did not.
They took her rank pin away from her.
So she's officially stripped.
She's officially stripped of her rank.
There you go.
Heert really did need Dedra's advice. He's tacitly like, when he comes to her and is like, you know Axis better than anyone. After an entire season of him being like, fuck you and fuck your knowledge, I got this. And after he failed to find Axis for 4 years, he's basically coming to her and being like, yeah, you were right. You know this guy better than anybody.
The pressure's starting to grow, because like if they can't blame, just Dedra, they're gonna find other people to blame. Like it's a never-ending cycle of just like, we're just gonna keep blaming people until we're good.
Well, he was real quick to blame Dedra for Luthen, and now that Kleya's become a thing, if he botches this,
right,
and he now knows that he will be
he's next.
He will be up on the chopping block next.
Yep.
Now it's all down to him. He can't blame Dedra for this anymore. And then Dedra helps him out. I think not out of any loyalty to the Empire, because she seems pretty done with the Empire at this.
Right.
She's like, why do I care? Why does this matter? It is not the Empire that makes her help him. It's her need to be right.
Right.
She still can't let this go.
It's still obsession with the Axis and everything, because yes, she can't do anything because yes, Luthen's dead. There's nothing to do there. However, she still like wants validation. Like, not that she's like rooting for her to catch Kleya, but like she just wants it to be over, because then she would be validated. She would be like, okay, they caught somebody related to Axis, therefore I'm validated, even if I don't have a job or whatever.
I think she could have taken that to where she ends up. Yeah. Securing the knowledge that like she was right.
She was right.
She was. And she says to Krennic earlier in the meeting, like the interrogation, there's a wonderful bit where she lays out basically that the ISB botched the biggest lead they have ever had.
Right.
And she says to him, like, here's how you guys fucked this up. So she was right, and she needs to prove she was right to everyone, including, I think, herself. Denisco is also on my list of you were shafted at the Emmys.
Oh, for sure.
I do have to read from the StarWars.com trivia guide. We saw him earlier in the episode, but most of my notes for one of his scenes are here, so I put it here. Quote, the costume department was able to reuse the Rogue One General Draven costume initially created in 2015 for returning actor Alistair Petrie. End quote. So when you see General Draven wearing the Rogue One costume, he's wearing the same outfit. When you see Cassian later on in the next episode, he will be wearing a recreated version.
Right.
No, Petrie's just wearing the same clothes, literally, that he wears in Rogue One.
Good for that actor, by the way. It's been quite a while since Rogue One, so
it's been 10 years. He's kept himself in shape.
Hey, if you can wear the same exact outfit, then good for you, dude.
Willman sticks by Luthen. He says that none of Yavin would be there without Luthen, and he's right. Yavin wouldn't exist without everything Luthen did, which I'll be curious to see now that Andor's done what Luthen's legacy is going to be in the wider Star Wars story.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do anything. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like maybe it's just better to just kind of
okay if they don't.
Yeah, like I feel like they should leave it, because it's kind of like his legacy is that no one knows he existed. Like that's his legacy. Like, they don't know what they have because of him. Like that's what I kind of like about it.
Yeah, he did actually burn himself for a sunrise he would never see, and that's the question that the character raises. That's the fascinating questions he asks. Is How many people throughout history were this vitally important to a cause and we don't know their names?
Exactly.
We don't know their names. We don't have any record of them. We don't know anything about them. Maybe there's going to be eternally a record of Axis, but no one will ever know who Axis was. Willman is confined to quarters, which is why people seem to think he's not in Rogue One.
Oh.
That he is still confined to quarters by the time of the Battle of Scarif.
We don't see him at all in next episode?
We do see him briefly, but he is in his quarters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
I'll have to I'll pay close attention for that for next week, but that's crazy. Yeah, okay, that's why he's not. He's
pay attention. He is in his quarters. He got in trouble.
He got in trouble.
The tech who is examining the radio board is such a radio nerd.
Okay.
It's so funny. I looked at the actress who is playing her. It's Zora Bishop.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted to bring up Zora Bishop is because this is not Zora Bishop's only Star Wars credit.
Okay.
She is also a voice actress for Star Wars Outlaws.
Ooh, okay.
So she has been in a Star Wars thing concurrently with this.
Oh, I love that.
She's not been on a lot of other interesting. She has a good balance between voice acting and actually visually acting. I also love that as Luthen was moving across, pouring out his metallic stuff that burned this thing, she says that he wiped pretty much all of their contacts. So clearly it was designed and they knew that the first thing to go was going to be the contact.
Right.
He's not able to get everything, but he's able to fry their contacts. And he clearly knows this. And I love that detail. My last note sort of for this section, because a lot of my notes for the approach to the apartment are much more general. The way that K2SO says that the Emperor was there is such weird line delivery that has a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. It's just that sentence. The way he brags about being in the parade, he was like, I was in a parade. There were 200 K2 units. The Emperor was there. He's got some almost kind of droid trauma from the memory of the Emperor being present. It almost feels like the Emperor has a physical effect on technology around him.
Oh, that interesting. Yeah.
And K2SO has uncomfortable memories of the presence of the Emperor. And because he has a personality now, that manifests as an actually uncomfortable memory.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Yeah, because
go back and listen to this scene and listen to the way he says the line, the Emperor was there.
Yeah, because I guess if you think about it, in terms of, I don't know, space magic and whatever, the Emperor, obviously is an evil Sith Lord. So it's he probably exudes some kind of evil aura that not everybody can see or know, right? So but maybe technology and droids, there's a frequency of some kind that they just feel and they don't understand it, but they're just it's bad for their programming. I don't know. I love a little weird headcanon there of that.
Yeah, the Force, is in all living beings, and droids are not living beings.
Right.
But then that's the question of what is the Emperor's effect on the building blocks of reality around him?
Right. That's what I mean,
how does something that potently evil interact with things around him on an atomic level or a quantum quantum physics level? How is he the things he can do? How is he that raises questions that George Lucas might have been able to answer. But certainly no one working on Star Wars currently is going to be able to answer. No. George Lucas was weird enough. He might have actually had an answer to that.
I would love to see someone try though. Just try to do something in a Star Wars at some point where a droid of some kind can be look at someone and just be that guy's weird, and I know why. You know what I mean? And they don't.
That raises the eternal Star Trek question of do droids have souls? At what point do they have souls?
Right.
At what point do they have personality? Because you can't argue for a fucking second that R2D2 and C3PO don't have personality.
Right.
But do they have souls? There's a lot happening here that we cannot get into. We should probably move on.
Section 5. Heert joins ISP tactical soldiers on a shuttle, and he briefs the soldiers to capture Kleya alive, while Partagaz connects via comlink. Cassian and Melshi enter the apartment complex, leaving K2SO aboard their ship. ISB forces jam communications and power around the safe house, and the boys proceed cautiously through the rundown complex, unable to contact K2SO due to the blackout. ISB tacticals prepare to move in as Heert tries to trace the radio transmissions. The boys meet up with Kleya, and she reveals to Cassian that the Emperor's energy program is a cover story for a superweapon, connecting Imperial actions across multiple planets. The ISB tactical team secures floors near the safe house. The team enter the building and cautiously while Kleya repeats critical information about Galen Urso, Kyber crystals, Scarab, and Jeddah to Cassian. K2SO confronts and attacks an ISB tactical soldier who mistakes him for a hostile droid. He then forcibly boards the ISB shuttle, creating chaos and drawing Partagaz's attention. Cassian urges Kleya to leave for Yavin 4, promising safety and alliance support. Their tense conversation reveals past conflicts about loyalty and choices related to Luthen and the rebel cause. Heert pinpoints the safe house's location above an elderly couple's apartment. As the ISB tacticals prepare to advance upstairs, Kleya presses Cassian to honor Luthen by sharing the truth with the rebels, while the ISB team closes in.
So Partagaz is going to personally oversee this operation.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
That's a mistake.
That's a mistake.
But also very interesting that he is going to oversee this personally.
Right.
Which we've seen him do before. They did it when they had to clear the room for the Gorman, when the Gorman front attacked that caravan. Partagaz personally oversaw the response to that.
Right.
But it's interesting that he's going to do this personally. We do get the Lambda class shuttle, my favorite of all of the shuttles. We get a design riff version of it.
Okay.
That's a little different, but it is basically a Lambda class shuttle, which are my favorite type of shuttle. I have a shitload of Legos in the front room, and the centerpiece of it is a Lambda class shuttle. It's the shuttle Tidarium.
I have the Micro Squadron version, so I love hanging. Like if I ever get a chance to hang it up again, I will. Just have it flying in the corner.
It's just such an aesthetically pleasing design.
Actually, because I always hang up my Marauder, so I have like the Marauder flying in the corner, and I was like, I guess I technically could have also the Lambda class shuttle because it's like so like visually similar, and I just love like the dynamic between the two of those.
I did not go check like 1-to-1, but the sequence where the ISB is preparing to like arrive there, and it has so many callbacks to the Morlana Security Corps, the Corpos arriving.
Okay. Yeah.
There is a sequence in which armor is thrown at Heert that he has to put on. There is a sequence in which a puck with Kleya's image is passed from group to group, the same way that Cassian's was, I believe, in episode 3 of the first season. There's another guy who's in charge of this, playing the Linus Mosk role that Linus Mosk was in season 1, episode 3, playing to Cyril. It's a great callback to the beginning of the show. A lot of this arc calls back to the earliest arc of the show, which is really great.
I do love that.
And honestly, this whole section is just really tense.
Well, because it's literally building up to the next
episode. It's literally building up.
Literally like the action building up, which is why I found it odd. Like where would you cut it? Where would you cut this episode so that the actual stuff that belongs with the next episode
that is a really difficult. I would not have made this 3 episodes.
I agree.
I would have made it 2.
I think that's my problem. Yeah.
I love the Luthen dying at the end. It makes the episode feel really complete. But in retrospect, looking at these together, honestly, what I would have done, I would have rearranged it slightly. I would have done episode 10 exactly the way that it was done. I don't like speculating too much about what I would have done, but if I were handed, then I would have had episode 2 or whatever end with the return to the escape from Coruscant. I would have done all that in one episode.
Right.
Then I would have had all of Yavin, all the politicking that happens on Yavin, be the whole final episode.
Mm.
That's how I would have broken it down.
Yeah.
For me, the issue is it feels like the back third of this episode is the first bit of the next episode.
Yeah, that's my issue with it. I just feel like we're already starting to see the episode. It's like we started the episode and we didn't realize it. We were like, oh, because I remember watching this because they obviously released all 3 at the same time. Yes. And because I was watching it continuously, it just kind of felt like a really long episode. And I was just kind of like, I think it just needs to be Kleya Luthen storyline, episode 1, Coruscant escape, purely Coruscant escape, and then you're right, all the Yavin stuff is its own thing. I don't know. It's hard. You can't. I mean, they did what they had to do, but I'm sure they cut out even more. Like obviously, I feel like we're only seeing the if this is technically almost 3 hours of a finale. Like this is like episode 1, 2, 3, or what is it 10, 11, 12?
10,
They
11,
cut
12.
out. There's another hour that's cut out of this that they cut out for time. You know what I mean? Like so, their cuts are always double the length. So I feel like there's stuff we're missing here, like that we could have
I
gotten.
have a sneaking suspicion. I think they said that all the footage they shot for Andor season 2 they used, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I think they said somewhere that anything that was shot got
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
I
will not. But we don't do research.
Yes, I actually found the research.
Okay.
On The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Tony Gilroy said that Andor season 2 has 0 deleted scenes. Every scene they filmed made it into the show. Season 1 had only 1 deleted.
Oh, okay. That's not terrible then. I mean, doesn't mean that there wasn't planned scenes though.
Yes, and we will kind of talk about that next
week. Yeah.
But Tom Bissell having pitched a scene or written a scene does not make that scene canon.
Right.
That was cut somewhere along the line.
No, for sure. And then also, I'm pretty sure there's another. We'll talk about it next week about
Perrin.
Perrin?
That's the Tom Bissell interview that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, that seems to be the case with a lot of this stuff.
You can see the moment that Cassian realizes Luthen's dead, and he asks where Luthen is anyway. But you can see it on his face. He already knows. And then Kleya's line, "It would be you." It was like, "It would be you, wouldn't it?" Hit like a truck.
She's like, "Of course, you're the one.
Of course. We can't be rid of you." Kleya also, so Kleya does something really interesting. It's in the background of this scene. Cassian and Melshi are concerned with doing a personnel extraction. Right. They want to get Kleya out. Kleya's concern is information extraction. So she almost kind of seems like she wants them to take the information and go.
Right. Like once I've told you, now you can leave, go back to Yavin.
Now you can
leave.
Everybody
else, yeah.
I think she intends to let the Empire capture her or do something more drastic.
Right.
Or go down in a blaze of like taking the Imperials down with her. I don't think she intends to survive this, but Cassian's like, "Nope, you're gonna survive." A lot of the back couple of minutes of this episode are him trying to convince her just to leave with them.
Right. And she's like, "Why the fuck would I go to Yavin? They didn't even
like she didn't trust Yavin at all."
She's like, "Why the fuck would I go there?
Why the fuck would I go there? They don't like me." Exactly. Well, they don't like Luthen. They don't even know who I am.
Which that I don't understand the logic there, only because I'm like, they don't even know you exist. So like there's no reason for them to technically not like you. She is
tied intricately into Luthen. When they find out who she was to Luthen, she's concerned that they're going to dismiss her.
Yeah. I mean, if she has to tell them.
She does have to tell them because she has to tell them where she got this information from.
Oh, the leaders, yes. But I mean, I just mean like in general, like just the people,
I don't think the people are even going to know.
Yeah.
People probably don't even know who Luthen is.
Right.
The K2SO moment where his no smack the guy off.
Oh my God.
11 out of 10, perfect K2SO moment. It was in the trailers. I don't care. It's so fucking hilarious.
It was in the trailers, but like we didn't realize it was a comedic moment in the trailer. Like
I think people thought funny in the show.
I think people thought it was funny because they were just like, "Oh, ha ha ha, it's K2SO doing K2SO." Like, but we didn't even get like the actual meta level of just like, no, he's literally just being sarcastic and like it's so great.
I'll also give them their props. In this scene, they had an opportunity to use the Wilhelm scream and they didn't take it.
Oh, when he was flying off the thing.
It would have taken me out of the scene and they chose not to use it.
I want to see someone edit it back in, and I want to see
I will say this. Every single Hobbit movie, I recently rewatched the 3 extended cuts. Every single one has a Wilhelm scream. And every single one, it took me out of the movie briefly when the Wilhelm scream popped up.
I think it does, but I kind of like it. I don't know why.
I like it,
yeah,
but I notice it.
Oh, I notice it every time.
This tense of a moment, it would have taken me out of the movie.
I agree. It
taken me out of the episode. This poor old couple that gets barged in on by the ISB officers. This sequence is hilarious.
It's too funny. And I found it surprising though that they didn't use an alien couple in this particular instance, only because I feel like that tends to be like I don't know if it's like a running joke or like just something like where like the alien
I
people are
think they
always
wanted relatability to the audience.
okay.
I think they just wanted the audience to see some random old couple that might live in your apartment building.
Right. It seemed very much like they live in New York. They're just this old couple minding their business, and then all of a sudden the fucking FBI bangs down their door.
Bangs down the door. Yeah.
Yes.
It absolutely got at my heartstrings when Cassian told Kleya, like, you told me I was wrong. Like, he credits her in part with him remaining with the rebellion. In hindsight, even though he would not have at the time, like, he was prepared to leave and then Bix took off.
Right.
But even he credits Kleya, at least with being correct, that he was not actually done. My final note of the episode, I would be remiss if I did not point out, we are back in the fucking building again. The old couple apartment is clearly just the same set, dressed differently.
I literally knew you were going to say this. I also thought, like, when did they film this scene? Because they obviously filmed this before or after. I don't know, actually, the order of operations here, whether or not they filmed, like, the nicer one later or the more destroyed one first. But
they filmed the Cassian and Bix stuff first.
Okay.
And they filmed the Kleya standing in the destroyed apartment in the last episode last.
Okay, so there you go. Then
so I theorized
this was filmed way early.
Yeah, that they gradually destroyed the set as they went along.
Right. And this is like very clearly kept up and nice and like
they probably filmed Bix and Cassian, then this, then the stuff from the third arc, then the stuff from this arc.
But I love that they jump from like the positioning, like you can see them in the apartment and it looks really nice, and then it cuts to the other one and you're just like it looks like a quote unquote different apartment, but it's still the same apartment. I love it. Oh.
It's great. That's on my notes.
Alrighty. I guess final thoughts.
This episode was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like a standout, but it had a lot of really great stuff in it.
Yeah, I think for me it was just, I think the Krennic scenes for me saved the episode. I thought they were really good, but the rest of the episode I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I didn't really care for it, but that Krennic alone saved everything for me.
So Bradley, what are we talking about next week, provided we are able to find time to record next week, given both of our schedules?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing, guys. I don't know, based on our schedules, if it'll come out on time.
Based on our schedules, we might be taking another week off.
Well, we're gonna try. We'll see. Anyway.
Bradley is gonna be done with a particular thing related to his job here very shortly. And in 7 weeks, I will be done with Legacy Expo. At least the event as it currently exists will be over and done with. But we ask you to continue to bear with us a little bit longer if we have to suddenly take a week off because somebody's schedule got crazy.
So next week, we're talking about the finale of Andor Season 2, Episode 12, Jedha, Kyber, Urso.
Pluggables. You can find a whole bunch of reality TV that Bradley works on places like Bravo and Peacock and wherever they are streaming. These include shows like Temptation Island, Married to Medicine, The Circle, King's Court, Queen's Court. King's Court is currently airing on Bravo right now, so you can tune into that if you like reality TV. You can also find me on the Star Wars TTRPG podcast For Light and Dice. It has finally come back from hiatus and new episodes are coming out. I have mentioned several times I am involved with Legacy Expo, a fan-run Star Wars EU convention raising money for charity. That's going to be in September in Burbank. You can also find books that I write. Those are called Beach House Studios. Those are available on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, and you can request them through your local library through Overdrive. Book 4 news coming soon. You can also find us on Patreon at Gold Squadron Gaze. You can subscribe there for extended cuts to the episodes, including our 10-minute warm-up. This week we talked about Olimpo and Percy Jackson, specifically the casting of one Nico D'Angelo. So if you want to hear that, head on over to Patreon, give us $3 a month, and you'll get access to that. And you'll also get access to every single time I fucked up and didn't research something properly and made a stop for 3 minutes while I frantically Googled. All right, Bradley. May the force be with both of us and run the socials. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze.
I just find it really annoying that they don't have the outstanding lead actress, the outstanding actor, when The Bear was nominated yet again for outstanding comedy. Category fraud.